Assalamu alaikum, ji ayanu, pakhair ragale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohio gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, and a very warm welcome to our special transmission on a very special day with me, Shahzad Khan, and Maha Makhdoom. Hello, Maha. How do you feel today?
I feel great. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Shahzad. Today we have a wonderful day for you. A very special transmission. As Shahzad has already said, today we are commemorating Pakistan Day, and it is very important that we are aware of what's the significance.
And, you know, it was actually back in 1940, but it still feels very fresh as well. That's why Maha used the word. But back in 1940 and 23rd of March, ladies and gentlemen, today, we definitely mark the importance, but the Pakistani constitution and the resolution was commemorated. But before we speak any further, we really want to have an insight on the historical facts as well, and this is why we're going to share a small documentary with you guys.
The resolution for the establishment of a separate homeland for the Muslims of British India passed in the annual session of the All India Muslim League held in Lahore on 22 to 24 March 1940 is a landmark document of Pakistan's history. The history of the subcontinent was changed with the passage of the Pakistan's resolution on March 23, 1940. On this day, the great Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah in his address at the Minto Park for the first time ever formally and passionately demanded a separate country based on the concept of the Muslim nationhood. The Pakistan resolution was moved by the late Bengal Chief Minister A.K. Fazlul Haq and was seconded by Chaudhry Khaliquz-Zaman. It stated no constitutional plan would be workable in this country or acceptable to Muslims unless it is designed on the following basic principle, namely that geographically contiguous units are demarcated into regions which should be so constituted that the areas in which the Muslims are numerically in majority, as in the northwestern and eastern zones of India, should be grouped to constitute independent states in which the constituent units shall be autonomous and sovereign. In his address, whose reverberations can be felt even today, the Qaid, brimming with sense of honor and justice, spurned the claims made by Indian Congress that it was a sole representative of the whole of India's population, including some 95 million Muslims. This came as a major shock for the Nehru-Gandhi duo, which was not ready to accept the Muslim demands and claimed to be the sole representatives of the Indian population. 23rd March aims to reflect upon the gift of Pakistan at a time when many countries in the world face great turmoil. The argument is simple and enduring. Pakistan, with its great potential, negotiating the maze and complexities and overcoming all the significant challenges, is here to stay forever and make tangible and potentially sustainable progress.
So that was a report giving you some historical information on the significance of 23rd March 1940, and that, you know, it is something that is the template and the framework for where we are sitting today.
Exactly, and to, you know, celebrate with us and let us know, or probably make us more aware of what actually happened. If we go back in time as well, we've been joined with some very apt and wonderful guests, and on my right-hand side, I'm going to start my, you know, introductions, and I'm very happy that I get to do that, because I think this is for the very first time that I'll be saying it on television about him as well. So ladies and gentlemen, on my right hand side, somebody who's actually been nominated by Pakistan and Ukraine for Nobel Prize of Literature, a Rhodes Scholar himself, and to me he's a mentor too, none other than Mr. Irshadullah Khan Sahab. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Pleasure to see you all again.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's always a pleasure.
Pakistan Day too.
Happy Pakistan Day.
And congratulations as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And alongside Mr. Irshadullah Khan Sahab, we have been joined with somebody that when she speaks and when she tells you about something, it just gets into your head because it always makes sense. She's an educationist herself, and she's none other than Miss Amina Hoti. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and such a special welcome. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful day for all of us.
Thank you very much for
being
joining
here.
us. And alongside Miss Amina Hoti, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined with somebody whose words can actually shape our defense strategy as well, because he himself calls himself defense analyst, and that's how we introduce him. He's none other than Mr. Major Ahsan. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very
for
much
being
for
here
joining
today.
us.
Thank
and
you.
Always a bit critical, ladies and gentlemen, but always full of wisdom, always full of intelligence. He's a social analyst himself. He's none other than Mr. Abdul Jaleel. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam.
Thank
very
you for
much
being here
joining us.
today. Very important day, and we need to get the conversation started because we have a lot to cover.
And we're going to pretend as if we are kids growing up, and we need to learn from you people.
Exactly.
And all of those people who are out there, they need to learn about it too as well. So first of all, we want to indulge in the historical facts that how did it all lead towards 23rd March 1940? Anybody who wants to start the conversation.
So what's that? Yep.
Sure. Well, once Pakistan was found, and came into existence, it was obvious that there would be a number of dates also following it. And the 23rd of March is one of those.
Yeah. Amazing.
Okay.
Ms. Hamina, do you want to add to that? Let's go back in time.
Yes, well, the Pakistan Resolution was a political movement by the Muslims who were minority in British India. And they wanted greater autonomy for themselves within their Muslim identity.
Okay.
So this resolution, which was presented in Minto Park then, which is now the Iqbal Park in Lahore, was a turning point for the Muslims because it properly defined the idea that we want a separate Muslim homeland for ourselves, where we can live freely, etc.
Very nice.
Wonderful.
Shahzad, the independence of India from the British rule was going on. But then the Muslims of India definitely realized that we may not be able to live together and we need to have a separate homeland, other than the minorities also, which will form part of Pakistan. So today what we see is that Pakistan, which came into being after the efforts of 7 years, this resolution was in 1940.
Yeah.
It took exactly 7 years. And then in August, 14 August 1947, after 7 years, independence then was declared and Pakistan came into being.
Yeah.
So and now what we see today at Pakistan is a composition of Muslims, which is in majority, obviously, with other minorities also living in the same country with the rights given to them, with all the independence and all the freedom which can be expected from any sovereign country existing on the grounds.
Amazing. But now when I move on to Mr. Abdul Jalil sir, now, sir, what I want to ask is, what happened before 1940? Because, to commemorate a resolution and probably constitution too at the same time would have taken quite a lot of effort. So let's start from somewhere 1930 or 1935. What happened in those days, in those years?
If you go back to the history of Pakistan, you will find that the Muslim of subcontinent, after the fall of the Mughal Empire, faced a lot of discrimination, especially under the growing rule of the British colonialism. And the Hindus too joined them as well. Although the Muslim played very important role in the development of a very, I would say that the Muslim civilization on a very broad fundamental which provided a very wide space to the minority. And to the majority Hindu as well, in which, that the political and the social framework which the Mughal ruler provided here, in fact, provided a very safe and a secure legal political framework for incorporating the aspiration of every class and every religious, the religious and the segment of the society. But what happened later on, after the fall of the Mughal Empire, the Muslims started losing their representation as well, and they started facing instead social and economic isolation and discrimination. As a result of which, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the first one who realized it, and then there were Waqar ul Mulk and many more Muslim intellectuals who found out that until and unless the Muslim do not raise, their own political forum for exercise of their sovereign, for exercise of a sovereign existence, they will sooner or later they would be eliminated as a result of the bulldozing majority of the Hindu population. So as we all know that in 1916, Quaid-e-Azam for the first time presented his charter, in which he has given his views with respect to the separate electorate for the Muslim of the subcontinent. As far as 1940 revolution is concerned, in fact, it incorporates the ideas of Dr. Muhammad Iqbal. And that was the day when Iqbal, after the passage of this revolution, said that I wish Iqbal would have been alive today, and he would have been very happy to see that we are going to incorporate the ideals of Iqbal through this revolution. Wow. In other words, we are going to create, what he wanted to say is that we are going to create a Muslim nation on a very broader fundamental of Islamic civilization. Okay. And he expressed it very openly there, that we are a nation with hundreds and millions, with our own culture, calendar, history, heritage, intellectual and the spiritual, the assets, right? And he always exercised these things, that we will create a society which will serve as a model state in the world.
Okay,
Right.
that's wonderful.
that's
And
it.
so, you know, the ideas behind it, you know, and the desire to create a safe haven for minorities is absolutely wonderful. But now let's bring it to today. You know, we're seeing multiple celebrations. We're seeing the parade. We're seeing, you know, the whole nation kind of being stirred up to celebrate 23rd
We do
March.
confer national awards too as well, and our
Exactly.
Pakistani missions elsewhere in the world even observe the
Exactly.
day.
So now with such a huge population as well, how do we make all of that history and significance of this day relevant to all the masses within Pakistan? So,
Well, we must take in view also right now, and this is a particularly special celebration this year, because there's mass war hysteria in India, which Modi has generated. And as if they almost want to have a war with Pakistan, not knowing that it will destroy the whole of the subcontinent.
Yeah.
right.
And it's a fantastic army and nuclear weapons, which is holding them at bay.
Right.
So we have a special reason to celebrate today, because we fought for independence, we have got our independence, and now we must maintain our independence.
Okay. I just like to ask the same question to Amine as well. How about you?
That's a really good question, Maha. Thank you
you.
so much for that. I want to step back a little bit
Okay.
and emphasize the vision of the Qaid-e-Azam. What was the vision of the Qaid-e-Azam and how was it inspired? It was a continuation of a vision of a Muslim nation who were a minority in the larger British India, struggling to exist
Yeah.
and express their identity. So what was the passing of the flame from Sir Syed to Iqbal to Qaid-e-Azam? Don't forget that passing of the flame, which is very important. And that is what we hope to do with the younger generation. So what is that vision? The vision is of human rights, women's rights, minority rights, upholding the constitution, the rule of law, no corruption, education for all. These are very important points in Pakistan today in order to exist in the larger world community that we are living in.
Okay.
And that's the vision I would like to encourage in the young of Pakistan through its education institutions, through its military academies, through its, the institutions that it has, through the civil service, etc.
Okay, wonderful.
And exactly, you know, when earlier in the morning we were witnessing the parade too as well, it is a spectacular event which actually shows to the world that how much deference we do definitely hold within our own country to protect the soil as well. And with that, I just wanted to share one of those songs which actually make me nostalgic. It's a patriotic song, Tum Hi Se Hai Mujahido. So let's go and take a listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this was just to, make everybody nostalgic about the
Absolutely.
feeling which we used to get, back in the days when we used to listen to all of these patriotic songs. But now there's this one very innocent question, which I would love to ask for Mr. Major Hassan Saab as well, and that is, why do we do this inter-services parade only on 23rd March? Why not on 14th of August or probably on any other day?
Well, Shahzad, celebrations of Pakistan goes around the year. But then what you have asked is very important and relevant. Why only 23rd March?
Yeah.
23rd March is a very important day in the history of Pakistan because this is the day, as we have talked, in 1940, the resolution of Pakistan, that means the conception of Pakistan started off in 1940.
Yeah.
So you start
So this is-
celebrating basically from the conception that now we have conceived that there has to be a separate nation for which we have to strive and get it. And then efforts lasted, which I earlier also said, for 7 years.
Amazing.
And then this came on
So
the
this is
face of
where
the
it all
earth.
started.
That all started. So that means that the most important aspect of any nation, or to show the sovereignty, that we can protect the sovereignty of the nation, it lies in the might, in the military might, obviously in the services. And that is what Pakistan over a period of time has always been showing to the world across. Because the messages which goes is that there are 2-3 different ways of conveying, to the enemy of Pakistan, that yes, now here is Pakistan, that what Pakistan is, which it was back in 1947, and now what Pakistan is today in 2018. Let the world be a judge for itself.
Okay.
And if you ask me as a military person, I would say that what we had in 1947, which was given to us, was all downtrodden and nothing. It was not really judiciously, distribution of
So we
these
worked hard.
assets was not done at that time. We really worked very hard. And today Pakistan stands very taller and taller than so many other countries in the world. And in the Muslim world, especially, Pakistan stands taller because it's a sovereign nuclear state.
Exactly.
And the only nuclear Muslim states. It is not only for the purpose that we want to have fights and wars and all that. It's not like that.
It's a deterrence.
It's deterrence. Once we say, what does you really mean by deterrence? Pakistan is not only meant for having deterrence. We want to create an impression that here is a Muslim state, which is an ideal state also for the rest of the world.
Exactly.
And we are sovereign. That is very important, where we need to understand Pakistan is a sovereign country and we maintain its sovereignty.
Okay, wonderful.
But then at the same time, I'm sorry that I'm bringing it in, but as an anchor person, as a TV host, I think I need to justify my duties too as well. Because earlier in your statement, you even said that, we show the might, we show the power. I think that ideologies over the decades have actually changed. Now people sit down, they talk and they consult, and there are different ways. So why don't we share an image of Pakistan where we sit down and we tell them that, we are ready to talk, but if in case you're going to poke a finger in my eye, then we can probably launch all of these things too as well. Jalil Sahab, you want to say something?
Oh,
about it?
yes, I just wanted to say that the celebration, in the life history of the nations, they are very important.
Okay.
These are the day, through your celebration of the cultural event, you give message to the world that our relationship with our past achievement, with our national ideal and aspiration, it will go on with full strength.
Right.
And the second message that we want to give to the world through these military, parade is very obvious, that the Pakistan will not compromise with its, at the interest of its sovereign existence.
Okay.
Independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and national self-respect, they are the highest ideal, firstly. And secondly, it is for the nation and the politician too to think about it as well, whether their conduct really fulfill the aspiration, which has been defined through 23rd March revolution by the founding father of Pakistan. Exactly. That is very important. Secondly, the citizen of the country should also see whether their conduct, stand fully in conformity with the highest patriotic standard of the nation or not. So that is why this is the day of celebration as well as meditation.
Okay, wonderful. So now let's talk about that. Now, to show that it's more than just deterrence, it's about everything that's been achieved, it's about reflection. So I'll start with Ms. Amine. Are we reflecting, are we checking all the different ideals, all the aspirations we had, how many have we fulfilled since that day? Because it's not about criticizing, it's about taking an honest reflection so we can achieve the things that we're celebrating right now.
And stand more taller next year.
Inshallah.
Well, there are many challenges, as we all know. There are many challenges of poverty, there's challenges of corruption, there's challenges of how we see ourselves you know, in
Yes.
the world community. Are we slightly outdated? Are we current? You know, we need to live in the world as it is and where people are moving on. So despite these challenges, there was a vision for Pakistan. And the vision was based on wonderful and high ideals. And the ideals were matched to any top nation of the world.
Yes.
Which was, as you said, standing tall. It was, you know, universal rights, human rights. All these were very important. And again, in the Constitution, it says education free for all, for everyone, from these primary ages to ages 16. And those are, again, fantastic ideals. But the question is, are we living up to it? You know, these are the challenges for the next generation to think about, for us to do our bit, each one of us, not point fingers at the other.
Exactly.
To all politicians are saying, so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that. You know, within the forces, within the services, everybody's looking at each other. But what about me? What can I do to change this nation and make it better? This is my nation, I owe it, and I must improve it. That is the question, how do we improve it? And we will stand up to these challenges, and I'm positive that the young who are very bright and optimistic will take it forward in a positive way and be excellent global citizens and national citizens.
Okay, and now, you know, there's one thing also, you know, we keep saying that it's about, you know, showing that it's a sovereign Muslim country, you know, it's about being a safe haven for people, because the world is, you know, has a distorted idea of Islam and how Muslims are. So on this day as well, you know, we've already asked Major Ehsan about, you know, why he feels it's important, but so from a more social point of view, why do you think it is important to show the world all of, you know, all of this? You know, do we need to show the world, or do we need to now just become more introvert and kind of go into ourselves to reflect?
All of what?
Reflect on the celebrations that we're having. We're talking about the celebrations. Do we need to keep having this display, or should we go now internal and start reflecting and then taking the vision forward?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have these celebrations
Okay.
because they recreate our identity
Yeah.
for a young.
Yeah.
A youth must know what it is all about.
Perfect. Yeah.
And this kind of a celebration is marvelous for them, because it gives them a sense of identity and a sense of being and a sense of feeling also,
Yeah.
that this is my nation
And thrilling.
and this is what we want.
Absolutely wonderful.
Exactly, and it is very wonderfully explained too as well.
Exactly.
I mean, for example, you know, when we were kids and we used to go watch the parade too as well, and all of these events were being on television, I still remember that I just wanted to be a part of the Army or probably Air Force or Navy, and I could feel it that, you know, oh yeah, you know, probably one day I'm going to serve my country, and this is one of the best services, and this is one of the best way to serve your country too as well.
But this is what the conversation we were having as well before we started the show, that what's the importance of the nation theory as well, because, you know, we were discussing, and it is about identity, and it's about connecting and feeling at home and feeling safe somewhere. And, you know, having moved around a lot, you don't feel like you belong anywhere. So when you see that, it's a really, really
Exactly.
special kind.
And then, you know, in between, while you're on your way towards your destiny, I think that there are certain things which we need to change with the passage of time. So I would just want to move on to Abdul Jalil Sahab over here, because you mentioned about a model state, and when the resolution was passed, it was about having a model state. So first of all, tell me, is Pakistan a model state now? Or if we're not, where are we? And then what changes do we need to make within our own personal lives to have that model state around us as well, or have that feeling?
You know, when I say the model state, of course, model is something which is kind of a utopia which can never be achieved. But it identifies the destination, you know, to which we have to move. As Iqbal has very, you know, in one of his poetry, he has said, while addressing youth, he has, may God Almighty identify upon you the, you know, the storm which is going to come and take over to you. Okay. You know, the very consciousness about the challenges which we are going to face will help you in developing your own personality and the leadership of leadership traits. So, as you know, Iqbal has given the symbolism of eagle. Now the symbol of the eagle stands, that eagle always, make a flight at a very high distance, much above the clouds even. And secondly, it has all addicted to the living in under very difficult circumstances. It never liked to stay in a crowded places, far, far away at the top of the barren hills. So this symbolism stands that the nations are created out of the intense spirit of the self-sacrifices and self-surrenders, and time and again he has given this message to the youth as well, that you should accept the new responsibility to Muslim youth. He said you should accept new responsibility in the light of those historical objectives which your forefathers have defined, your spiritual forefather or which forefather you have defined. And we were the nation where we have created a very rich spiritual and intellectual heritage. And we must come back to that heritage and rebuild it. Iqbal has time and again has placed emphasis on creativity. And he has said that the creativity means that you should not be satisfied with your present existence. Try to carve out a new frontier of your life. Sitaron se aage jahan aur bhi hai. There is a seen world beyond an unseen world, which you have to explore. So what we mean to say, these are the philosophic ideals as we were talking about right now. But on this very day, on this very day, we must try to carry out the exercise of self-appraisal as well, and try to find out that how far we have achieved these idealism. I would say, I will not paint a very black and a pessimistic picture about Pakistan. Pakistan has made a lot of progress in many fields as well. But as far as our political institution and educational institution are concerned, I would say that we need to do a lot to transform them according to the aspiration of the founding father of Pakistan as well. Although we have got still very grave challenges and mortal challenges surrounding around it. But thanks God, Pakistan was able to, stand very firm in face of these challenges. And how could he do it? Because of his inner and intrinsic strength. The nation as a whole is very much united through their, through their spirits of idealisms. They know very well that our destiny is same, our enemy is common, our friends are common, and we have to stand above in order to realize our historical objective. Anyhow, but much more is to be done, and what I would like to say that education must be given top priority, number one. And secondly, it is again, I would come back to our political leadership, which have not, I would say, played their due role as well. They must try to open the door upon the youth of the society, right? So that they could, by joining these political ranks, they could develop their leadership traits, right? And political party have also to clean their houses as well. They have to come up with a new, healthy and a honest tradition of working.
Yeah, Ms. Amrewati, you wanted to add something?
Gee, I wanted to say, if you go back to the founding fathers, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, what was his main contribution? It was an educational institution that flowered in the subcontinent, that led to Pakistan. Look at Allama Iqbal. His main philosophy, again, was education. He was at Cambridge, where I studied my PhD on Muslim women. And Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, again, was in Cambridge. If you look at Quaid-e-Azam, again, he was a very educated person. So that is the message we want to bring to our youth, to be enlightened, educated, have dialogue with amongst yourselves, dialogue with the world. Tell them who you are, tell them about your diversity, tell them about your beautiful cultures, tell them about your languages, tell them about your richness and your tall standing. But if we don't communicate this, then unfortunately we will be failing. So we need to give our youth the institutions at a very high intellectual and superb level of excellence, which will allow them to communicate their ideas in a coherent and a well-versed manner. That is very important, because the scene has changed in the world and we need to move with that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I would like to add one very important thing is loyalty to Pakistan, sincerity to Pakistan, to honor your country. I'll give you an example. I just finished Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. And I had become a very close friend because I also worked there for the United Nations for a while. And I had become a very close friend of James Callaghan, who was at that time the Home Secretary, and who then went on to become the Prime Minister of England.
Wow.
So they had invited me. They found out that I was going back to Pakistan, so they gave a very small lunch, just the three of us. He, his wife Aubrey, and myself, in their two-room flat in South Kensington. And when the dinner was coming to an end, James Callaghan turned to me and he said, "Rashad, how long have you been in England?" So I said, "Sir, I've been here 6 years." "Oh, 6 years." He said, "Well, I'm the Home Secretary. After 5 years, you can have a British passport. Just send me your papers and I'll give you a British passport." So I said to him, "Sir, I came here on a green passport as Pakistan's Rhodes Scholar." So he got red in the face. He said, "Do you know, young man, as a Commonwealth citizen, you can have both the passports." So I said, "Sir, I think I'd prefer to keep one passport only." So his wife said, "James, he doesn't want your passport. Go and make the coffee."
And this is the royalty and the loyalty which you were actually talking about, and this is how we stand tall as well. But then at this point of time, you know, since Mr. Abdul Jalil Sahab actually talked about Shaheen and the Eagle, and which Dr. Lama Iqbal Sahab even speaks of it, we do have a documentary, and the opening frame is of the Eagle as well, and I think it's going to have an impact on all of those people. So make sure that you listen to it carefully as well. Go ahead, take a listen.
There are two major nations, the Hindus and Muslims. 100 billions of Muslims cannot be characterized as a minority. We are 70 million in the northwestern and northeastern zones of India. We constitute a majority of 70% against the caste Hindus in these homelands of ours. We want the division of India into Hindustan and Pakistan because that is the only practical solution.
In the midst of unparalleled difficulty and untold suffering, we have been through dark days of apprehension and anguish. But I can say with confidence and with courage and self-reliance and by the grace of God, we shall emerge triumphant.
So that was a short documentary giving you some more information on the significance of this day. And, you know, we've been having a wonderful conversation, trying to talk about where we are, but also a positive approach, because if you're going to be complaining, if you're going to be negative, then you're never going to move in the right direction. It's about having an honest reflection of where we are. And, you know, it's really great to, you know, get, because, you know, we were discussing this before the show as well. It's, you know, being caught in between those, that generation, I think, you know, we're kind of confused a lot of the time. And I think what, Sir, you mentioned about identity, it's really very important. I think that's the reason why this was created as well, and why we're all sitting here today.
And before, Maha, I'm very sorry to barge in as well. And before
It's all right, I'm used to it.
Before we move on towards identity and royalty and, you know, being loyal to our country, there's one thing which bugs me quite a lot of time.
Tell me.
Because many a times, you know, all of those people who actually come on the show, they do reiterate about the importance of education. What is education actually? Going to school, learning from your university, learning from your peers, traveling the world? What is it?
I will forgive you for interrupting my question, so let's
Because this is where we left. This is where we left.
Perfect.
So, Ms. Amina, what is education?
Well, that's a really good question,
Yeah,
I must
really.
say. Because education is not going to school. You know, you could have children going
Thank you
to
for saying
school,
that.
and you could have children, you know, where the teacher says, this is wrong, that's wrong, make sure that you have a line under your, you know, the little things that don't really matter. What matters is the mindset. So that is what education is meant to do. It's meant to open the doors in your mind. It's meant to make you see yourself as your full human potential. See, why human beings were different to other creatures were because of our intellect. And therefore, in Islam, we submit to God in the act of sajda because we bow our intellect to God the Creator, which is the most beautiful example of submission. And that is what Islam is about, submitting yourself. And in this line, education is so important. Therefore, we've done, for example, I myself have done very small projects, for example, at FC College in Lahore. I'm working here at NUST University. And we've pioneered new textbooks on accepting difference, on teaching acceptance, so that people can open those barriers or transcend those barriers and open doors. So we can train our teachers to encourage, to be positive, to move ahead with a beautiful Pakistan which is diverse, which is accepting of women, accepting of other people, accepting of other cultures, and be tolerant and inclusive. And that's going back to the vision of the Qaid-e-Azam and of Sir Syed. Because just a small, another example, in my own little field work that I'm doing now at present, in Pakistan, I had the privilege of traveling to Swat, to far deep interior Sindh, and we've been to temples, we've been to gurdwaras, to mandirs, etc., but also to wonderful Muslim Sufi shrines and saints and all. So there's such diversity in Pakistan which is not discovered. Let us begin to discover that through a method of research and education.
Okay, wonderful.
Jalisa wanted to add.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to say, Madam has actually explained and defined all the facets of education. Education, of course, is given. Education starts, from the home immediately the day you are born, within the lap of the mother as well. But I would like to say precisely, the best education is given by those who lead their nations, the role model. When I have seen this picture and I could clearly define, that what role this nation was supposed to play from the vision of Iqbal, which unfortunately by the present generation it has been forgotten. You will find that Qaid-e-Azam, he was very fluent in English language. English language was like his first language, and he would address rallies of millions and millions of the people who could not understand what he's speaking, what he was talking about it, because majority of them did not know English language. Yet the people would come, applaud him, and follow him, through his English language, simply because they have a complete faith in him, that here is a person who is a perfect role model. What he says is true. He is a man of integrity, he is a man of idealism, and what he speaks is it's 100% truth, and we must follow him blindly. So that is, I would say that the best education comes from the best role model. And I would say that the politicians, the social reformer, they are the ones who are supposed to act as a role model for the society. If your role models become distorted, then the education, even theoretical education, will not be helpful to you.
And we will definitely talk about that. There was not even a single word that I can actually not connect with. But then at the same time, I think over here, a question arises that, if you tell us that there was a disconnect with the younger generations in Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal's philosophy as well, then I think we need to ask all of these people what have they done for Pakistan and where was their disconnect, or whether they were connected. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. This is very important.
Welcome back to our special transmission on 23rd March, celebrating the resolution that passed in 1940. And we're having a wonderful conversation with our wonderful guests about the significance of the day, about the difficulties that we're facing these days, and how to go forward and actually connect the majority of the population of Pakistan with the actual, the theory and the thought that went behind the actual day.
Exactly, and before we went towards the break, ladies and gentlemen, it was, I think, it was kind of a dive into a deep water sea as well, because of the fact that, you know, one of our very dear guests over here said that the younger generations have actually got a disconnect with the philosophy of Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. And to some extent, he might be right, but I think that it's not even a blame game. This is not how I want to say it, but, you know, for all of those younger generations or the people who are out there who might have actually heard this comment and were in connection with that philosophy might have felt bad about it. So before we move on to younger generations, let's get back to the older generations, ask them what they have done to make Pakistan stand taller, and then it will definitely be our turn. So Mr. Abdul Jaleel Sahab.
Sir, if you want to know the criteria of judging the role that our generation is playing, I would like to say that there are two ways that you can judge them. For example, number one, as a careerist, what achievement they have made, what evidence they have left, number one. And number two, out of their career, what voluntary service they have, you know, done for the greater national interest. I mean, this society, this nation have given so much to us. Ultimately, we are also responsible to pay back to it. And what was the modality through which I have paid back? So I would like to say, as far as the career is concerned, I was a civil servant, and by the grace of God, I would say that I was able to discharge my duty very honestly and develop a lot of good programs wherever I was posted there, and was able to contribute quite creatively towards the state of Pakistan. And even today I am associated with the organization, with the government organization and state building institution, and I believe that I am playing quite a creative and a definite role. And beyond that, I would say that from time to time I have been taking interest in social services as well. Because as a Muslim, I believe, as Quran says, Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin, Almighty God loves those who deliver service to humanity selflessly. So that's very important element.
Just one small thing, you know, within your own career, and definitely whatever you did was to serve Pakistan as well. Did you made all of those people held accountable for all of those programs which you made and weren't really out there or didn't really work out because of the fact that there were different menaces in between all of that procedural effects or the work you did?
You know, when you are working within a government system, then you certainly have got a lot of impediments as well. The system move on its own dynamics as well. And then as a government service, you know, as a state employee, you have got, you don't have a total freedom of pursuing your dreams in a manner you feel like. So at times you have to compromise as well, but you have to see your capacities as well.
Amazing.
So,
Major Hassan, I mean, this says it all. Go ahead.
Well, I would say that if you are trying to ask me, I'm in that kind of age group where I have been young. I'm connected with the younger generation. Is it? I'm 57. So I'm into the old generation also, stepping into that. Having 26 years of color service in the army out of all these 57 years, and still remained and very happy and really to be connected for my lifelong with the defense forces and armed services. However, after having acquired that proficiency in my career in army, after retirement, well, obviously now there is a complete change. As I appear on the television, I'm connected with media, I have studied media a lot, and also I do work on the social things as well, where I get connected with a lot of younger people. And my emphasis to get connected with this is how to actually eradicate poverty in Pakistan. And that is where I'm trying to do. And I've worked for 4 years on the third gender as well, for gender rights as well. And alhamdulillah, the news which you hear in these days, and a lot of articles and a lot of awareness which has come in that particular area.
Absolutely.
I have a little humble contribution into that as well, which makes me a very satisfied individual on that count. So not only on to the, pure military personnel, this is also what I'm trying to do, and that is what I feel that should be done by everyone in Pakistan. We need to be patriot. And in any way we can contribute, may it be just a simple lecture on how to conserve water. I was talking to Shah Sahab in the morning that the water is going to be the main crisis which we are heading, and it's an international global warming is such an important issue, but very rarely we find it to be talked about on an emergent basis as to how to control it, how to make ways to reserve water and all that. I'm working on that as well.
Wonderful, that's great.
Ms. Halmini.
Thank you very much. Well, I see myself as someone who's learning and has the privilege of teaching. So again, I would say that on this journey, I've had the privilege of writing a number of books. One is on the Pushtun culture, because my mother's from Swat, my husband is from Mardan, so that takes me back to the heart of society in the north of Pakistan, and it's a beautiful culture which needs to be rediscovered. Through books we've been able to communicate the dimensions of different aspects of life, but also teacher training, teaching about empathy, respecting others, respecting yourself. What are you about? What is your identity? And some of these books we presented to PM Hakan Abbasi recently, and he was very positive about them, and especially the Minister of Education as well. And more recently, we are doing some sort of agreement with the Jordanian royal family to do conferences, a series of conferences and classes at a number of universities in Islamabad, or perhaps more widely in Pakistan. And I hope that that will bring these ideas of respecting and tolerance and that same vision of the Qaid and Sir Syed and Allama Iqbal back to the youth, because we need to pass on the flame. We can't have it disconnected. The flame is there, and we need to just simply lighten it with more passion, positivity, and always our prayers and love and respect are for Pakistan and all the wonderful people that exist here.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Shah Sahab.
Well, as I told you earlier on, that I went to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. And Sir Cecil Rhodes, who created this $1 billion trust for the leaders of the future leaders of the world, as he called them. Bill Clinton was also a Rhodes Scholar. When I came back, I said he made his fortune in diamond mining. But there must be also gemstones and other mines in Pakistan. So when I came back to Pakistan, I went into mining.
Wow.
And developed mining, because that can serve the people. But then I also thought, what else? And I said, solar energy. Our people need solar energy. And we've been working on large projects with the Pakistan Army in solar energy, which is reaching the people. The people need it desperately these days. And then we worked in North and South Waziristan when the fighting was still on. And I contributed a lot of my own money there to help the Waziris. Because in the fighting, I visited Miran Shah and Mir Ali at a time when the fighting was on and everything had been flattened.
Oh gosh.
So of course it required a lot of money to reconstruct the whole area and give these people something which was stability for them. And this would prevent Daesh and ISIS from taking over their territory. And we have done that not only ourselves, but also with all the UN agencies, and we're still doing that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Amazing.
What about you?
Gosh, after that, you can't ask me after.
So now we come back to a point, where it's our responsibility to actually share and reflect our own selves as well.
Yes,
So
I was
what
so
have you
busy
done?
listening.
Since
busy listening.
since you've got 2 passports too as well.
Listen. Oh yeah, let's just
So
throw me on
what
the
have
bus.
you done?
Okay, no. Let's start with you.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
start
I
with
can't
you.
go after
Okay,
Sir.
so I think, when I talk about my own self, in days of dismay and despair, I spread smiles.
Wonderful.
With all my energy, with whatever I have.
That is actually
I gather all of Pakistanis from all of different provinces, and this is how I open up my show with all of different languages. And I think, well, this is not even the right word to use. Well, I'm a symbol of pride for all of those people who are out there, and they love me for what I do.
Well done.
And this is where I love myself too then.
Okay,
Thank you,
excellent.
Pakistan.
It's brilliant what you have said.
Yeah.
And that is what is basically
Yes.
required in
Thank
our
you, Will.
society. Spread smiles.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Spread, not only smiles, spread love as well.
Yes, wonderful.
Well,
what
that
you need.
sometimes is tricky. Or what about you?
Okay, well, we have run out of time, but okay, so what have I done for Pakistan? I have always wanted to project the honest portrayal of Pakistan, so the good and the bad. Living in England, it was always, you know, trying to get the culture out there, trying to get our way of life out there. And you know, to be honest, I came back here, I tried to work with different organizations, I write articles as well, which have been published now in England as well, on the culture within Pakistan, because as Ms. Amne also said, it's about tolerance. So that is actually what I'm working on, especially for women and minorities. That's what I'm trying to
Amazing.
get
And there's not even a point where there's a disconnect in between the younger generations and the philosophy, because I've always believed in my life. खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रज़ा क्या है. But there's always a way forward, and we definitely need to work together, whether the older generations or the younger generations, because you guys are the beacon of light, and this is how we will learn.
Absolutely, but thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
It's been an absolute pleasure and very important to discuss the significance of this day as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you and
Thank
Mubarak.
you. Thank you very much once again.
Pakistan
Happy
Zindabad.
Pakistan Day, Pakistan
Yes.
Zindabad. And
Absolutely.
with that, ladies
Wait,
and
I have
gentlemen,
one more thing to add is that, you know, it's not about the size or the, you know, magnifying your work. It's, you know, one little thing, you know, giving food or giving shelter to someone. Every act is something for your country. So, you know, you don't need to be on the screens. You don't need to be recognized for your work. It's between you and your God as well. So just give back, keep giving, and then goodness and karma and God will give it back to you.
Sure.
One thing, and that is that the vocational training or the technical training in Pakistan has become very important, because that takes care of a lot of our poor segment of society.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I've been working on with the Chinese now, with the Suzhou Vocational University, and we are providing scholarships for the students from Pakistan. Last year, we provided 100 scholarships. This year, the target is 2,000 scholarships.
Amazing.
And yes, sir, quickly.
Sir.
So one last thing which I would like to say, that every Pakistani should define his role in the light of the benevolence that he can extend to his fellow Pakistanis.
Amazing. Beautifully said. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you
with us.
so
It's lovely
much.
to have
Absolute
you
pleasure.
on the show and on this day. Thank you very much for gracing the occasion.
Yes.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have got something very interesting to share to, you know, give you that uplift in your morale too as well when we listen to such patriotic songs. And then we've got youngsters coming in to show their patriotism. Go ahead, take a listen.
ये जीवन है, कुछ करना है तो कर गुजरो. हर लम्हा बस उड़ना है, आसमानों से यारी कर लो कि ऊंची, बहुत ऊंची इन हवाओं में रहना है जिंदगी. तुम्हारी ज़ौ से दिल नशी जबीने कायनात है, वफा की रोशनी हो तुम, बना अंधेरी रात है. शहीद की जो मौत है वो कौम की हयात है. लहू जो है शहीद का वो कौम की ज़कात है. तुम ही से ए मुजाहिदो जहां बात है तुम ही से ऐ मुजाहिदो जहां का सबात है इस परचम के साए तले हम एक है हम एक हैं। सांझी अपनी खुशियाँ हो सांझी अपनी खुशियाँ और गम एक है हम एक हैं। परचम कसम उस वक्त की कसम उस वक्त की कसम उस वक्त की कसम उस वक्त की जब वक्त हमको आजमाता है जवानों की जुबान पे नाराए तकदीर आता है तुम ही से ऐ मुजाहिदो जहां का सबात है तुम ही से ऐ मुजाहिदो जहां का सबात है दिल दिल से मिलते हैं तो प्यार का चेहरा बनता है चेहरा बनता है फूल एक लड़ी में पिरोए तो फिर सेहरा बनता है चेहरा बनता है हो दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were in discussion on the significance of today on our special transmission for 23rd March, celebrating the Constitution that was passed in 1914.
Yeah, the Constitution and the commemoration of the resolution too as well, ladies and gentlemen. But now it's time, because earlier we even talked about disconnect and, you know, the responsibility of the newer generations and of the older generations. But now it's time for the younger generation to actually reiterate their love for Pakistan, for their own country and what they want to do for their own country. And I think, and on this day, it is very important and pivotal to ask them and share their stories with everybody who's out there too as well.
Exactly.
So on my right hand side, a very brilliant Pakistani, ladies and gentlemen, Numan Kaleem. Hello Numan, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Shazad, thank you so much. I'm really
and
good.
happy Pakistan Day.
How are you?
Sorry,
Maha,
sorry.
how are
Yeah,
you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
being
much for joining us. And
Thank you.
alongside Mr. Numan Kaleem, we've once again been joined by Mr. Noman Lateef. Hello Noman, how are you? Happy Pakistan Day.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. And last but not the least, I love this guy because he makes me remember Junaid Jamshed Saab quite a lot. He's a fabulous singer and I love the work he does. He's none other than Mr. Junaid JD. Hello Junaid, happy Pakistan Day.
कैसे हैं शहजाद भाई?
अल्लाह का शुक्र, बिल्कुल ठीक ठाक. आप कैसे हैं? आप ठीक
बिल्कुल,
हैं?
I'm all right.
सब
I'm
अच्छा
fine.
घर पे?
बिल्कुल.
Wait, so I'm going to leave you to do this and I'm going to go.
All right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, go ahead.
But anyway, so today's a very significant day. It's Pakistan Day. So I will, let's work our way down. And let's start with Junaid. Today's a very important day. We've
Indeed
just been
it
talking about the role of the youth and how to keep them connected to the idea of Pakistan. Why is it significant for you today? Or do you feel it's significant for you?
Yeah, it is quite significant. As we know that resolution was passed today and all that. It is an important trademark in the history of Pakistan, right? So as a young musician, I believe that I should portray as much as positive image of Pakistan with my music, with my creation and all that.
Wonderful.
That is what I believe.
So let's do it.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
already?
then.
Yeah, already.
And then you guys can think
Turn
about
by
the
turn.
question as
Yeah.
well. We'll ask you. Okay, excellent. So what are you performing?
I'll be performing one of Junaid Jamshed's songs. That is a patriotic song, I
Wonderful.
believe.
Go ahead.
So. हम हैं पाकिस्तानी हम तो जीतेंगे हाँ जीतेंगे हम हैं पाकिस्तानी हम तो जीतेंगे हाँ जीतेंगे हर मैदान में हर तूफान में हर मुश्किल में जीतेंगे हर मैदान में हर तूफान में हर मुश्किल में जीतेंगे हम हैं पाकिस्तानी हम तो जीतेंगे हाँ जीतेंगे कैसा भी हो अंधेरा दूर नहीं सवेरा लड़ना है नफरतों से प्यार के दुश्मनों से दुनिया हंसी बनाए पास दिलों को लाए आंगन आंगन खुशियाँ बांटे आने वाले दौर के इंसान हमसे जीना सीखेंगे आने वाले दौर के इंसान हमसे जीना सीखेंगे हम हैं पाकिस्तानी हम तो जीतेंगे हाँ जीतेंगे हम हैं पाकिस्तानी हम तो जीतेंगे हाँ जीतेंगे
Indeed, we will win. Yeah, fabulous one.
Wonderful.
And you're doing a great job with your music by actually telling the world out there that Pakistan is full of talent as well.
Yes.
See, Mahal, what you were expecting, I didn't say that, right?
No, I didn't.
It's perfectly all right,
I
you know,
know.
because it's youngsters now, we can do all this fun
Yes.
thing as well. So, Noman, how do you want to do something? What do you want to do for Pakistan?
I want to show the positive image of Pakistan through my music.
Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Go ahead. Show us.
ये वतन तुम्हारा है तुम हो पास इसके ये चमन तुम्हारा है तुम हो नगमा इसके ये वतन तुम्हारा है तुम हो पास इसके इस चमन के फूलों को रंगो आब तुमसे है इस ज़मीं का हर ज़र्रा आफ़ताब तुमसे है ये फ़ज़ा तुम्हारी है बरोबर तुम्हारे हैं कहकशा के ये जागे रह गुज़र तुम्हारे हैं ये वतन तुम्हारा है तुम हो पास इसके ये चमन तुम्हारा है तुम हो नगमा इसके इस ज़मीं की मिट्टी में इस ज़मीं की मिट्टी में खून है शहीदों का अर्ज़ पाक है मरकज़ उम्मीद नज़्म ज़ब्त को अपने मर्ज़े कारवां जानो वक्त के अंधेरों में अपना आप पहचानो ये वतन तुम्हारा है तुम हो पास इसके ये चमन तुम्हारा है तुम हो नगमा इसके
Beautiful. Yeah.
Wonderful. That was really beautiful.
And you know, meanwhile, when you were singing, you actually reminded me of Sahir Ali Baga, who's an all-time great producer within the music industry of Pakistan, has actually given quite a lot of hits too as well.
Wonderful.
But now let's move on to the other Noman, because you are shaping the future of Pakistan by giving them new styles, new trends, and telling them what to do and what not to do. So what is your contribution to Pakistan?
Obviously, I want to leave a positive image, and just because we are here, and let's see how it goes.
And you are even discovering your other side as well. You've just started recently singing too as well.
Yes.
So what are you going to share with us?
It's definitely a Mili Nagma that I've prepared, so I'm just going to start with it.
Let's do it.
Great. Take it away.
Okay. So,
सोनी धरती अल्लाह रखे कदम कदम आबाद कदम कदम आबाद तुझे कदम कदम आबाद सोनी धरती अल्लाह रखे तेरा हर एक जर्रा हमको अपनी जान से प्यारा तुझसे ही तो शान हमारी तुझसे नाम हमारा जब तक है ये दुनिया बाकी हम देखें आबाद रखे कदम कदम आबाद कदम कदम आबाद तुझे कदम कदम आबाद.
Beautiful.
I love how it became a group effort at the end as well.
And this is what we're going to do
because... Start a boy band.
Yeah, this is what we're going to do because I just do not feel like, ending the show and the transmission over here, but we are obviously, handing it over to the next program, which is going to start in a couple of minutes too, ladies and gentlemen. But we definitely want to close it up with a patriotic song which we all sing together, and I think that'll be great. But if there are any last messages, if you want to share anything, go ahead, say whatever you feel like.
With the audience.
I was listening to the statistics of Pakistan a few days back that 70% of is consistent of the youth, right?
Yeah.
So now it's up to us to portray the positive image of Pakistan, to work hard as much we can to, overcome all the challenges we are facing right now.
Okay.
So that's my message.
And then at the same time, well, I do not know whether we have to connect it with the youngsters within Pakistan, but recently, there was a report that Pakistan is one of the happiest countries among the neighboring countries as well, and we are 53 points ahead from our arch rivals, and then 11 points ahead from our friend China.
I love it how we memorize the actual difference. Not that we're the best.
It feels great.
How much are we the best?
I definitely, this is not the day, but I think young people actually know how to be happy, or they have lesser problems.
Yeah, no, that is true. We are, maybe. I don't know. I didn't fall into that category, so I don't know.
What about you, Nawal? What do you want to say?
I want to say that keep sharing a positive image to the world, that we are so positive people, and that's it.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything you want to share?
I would love to say that we should always, love our country, because everything that we've got today, it's because of Pakistan. So we should spread this message all over the world.
Pakistan Zindabad.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Pakistan Zindabad.
And it's really great to see that the youth are actually saying the similar things that we had said in the previous hour of the show. And it's about being sincere and being aware that this is the country that's given us what it has given us. If it hasn't, it is the place to get what you want as well, because there's so many opportunities.
So look after yourself and look after your motherland, ladies and gentlemen, and always try to do something in a way where in days to come or in years to come, Pakistan stands taller than where we are today.
Exactly.
So which one are we doing now?
Dil Dil Pakistan?
Dil Dil Pakistan. Let's do it.
And
you can play your guitar too.
So I think we should wrap up the show, and then
It's
we
done.
will. Yeah, okay, great. Oh, okay, you said last word. Wonderful, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you.
It will be a collective performance, right?
Pick up your guitar too as well. have a good effect.
दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जहाँ जहाँ पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जहाँ जहाँ पाकिस्तान ऐसी ज़मीन और आसमां इनके सिवा जाना कहाँ बढ़ती रहे ये रोशनी चलता रहे ये कारवां दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जहाँ जहाँ पाकिस्तान.
Junaid, your turn. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
दिल दिल से मिलते हैं तो प्यार का चेहरा बनता है चेहरा बनता है फूल एक लड़ी में पिरोए तो फिर सहरा बनता है चेहरा बनता है हो दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जहाँ जहाँ पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जहाँ जहाँ पाकिस्तान ऐसी ज़मीं और आसमां इनके सिवा जाना कहाँ बढ़ती रहे ये रोशनी चलता रहे ये कारवां दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान दिल दिल पाकिस्तान जा जा पाकिस्तान
Pakistan
जिंदाबाद.